Yo, welcome back everybody to a brand new video here on the second channel, and today we're going to be doing a video where we look at what is doing well in Japan and what are people playing over in Japan. So of course, Japan does have a pretty similar metagame to what we have. They do have the same sets. I think they do have a bit of the Shiny Treasure set, the Paldean Fates set. So they do have some cards in their format that we don't have yet, but it's still going to be a nice way to kind of look into the future and see what decks are winning in Japan, because our formats are fairly similar. I would say, and it is nice to kind of look at what everyone else is playing over in Japan. Japan does also like to play some pretty cool decks, so I'm excited to see what they are playing. We got some city leagues to look at here. There's one here, and then there's another one from the rest of this week. So let's take a look at what we got going on. If you're new here to this second channel, make sure to leave a like down below and subscribe if you're new to the channel. We're on the road to 10,000 subs. Also, I'm going to leave a link to Book here down in the description below. Make sure you go check out their website because they post a lot of deck lists every day. They post a lot of the results from Japan. So it's a very informative website to see what's going on over in Japan. So I will leave a link to it down in the description below. So here we go. Let's start things off. So we'll start off with the Sunday City League one. So we do have one here with the winning deck being Fusion Mew, which is a pretty strong deck right now. Obviously, Fusion Mew does have a lot of power. You have the Fusion Energy package, which helps against Spiritomb, and you also just have the Meloetas and stuff, which is really good. There was the runner-up deck being Lost Tina. Japan loves Lost Tina, by the way, and it's no surprise to see Lost Tina is doing well over in Japan. Another double Turbo Mew in top 4 here, playing the Avery and the Turo. And we did see a Charizard deck here also in top 4. So it is a Bibarel TM Evolution Charizard deck. So not the Pidgeysard. It does have that one of a Delphox V for some snipe plays, which is really cool. So that does obviously help a lot too. When your opponent doesn't bench Manaphy, especially in best of 1. We do have a really cool Charizard Skeledirge Arceus deck here that did make top 8. This is what I'm talking about. Japan likes to play the spice, and this is a pretty spicy deck here. Obviously, we know Skeledirge's ability, discard a Fire Energy from your hand, and it lets your Pokemon's attacks do 60 more damage, which is really good. And then obviously you do have Charizard EX here. That really does benefit from a 60 damage boost, because a lot of the time Charizard, it just falls short on a knockout, but when you have Skeledirge, you can really hit the high numbers. Even Arceus doing 60 more damage is kind of insane, because all of a sudden Arceus is then doing 220 damage, 240, whatever, with its attack, which is really, really strong. The Radiant Star is really good too. The only issue I have with this deck is it's just playing 2 different Stage 2s, so you do have to try to get multi-Stage 2s out. It's like Pidgeot Charizard to that degree. Obviously not playing the Pidgeot, but playing Bibarel as the draw engine. So really cool list here. And it did get got top 4, it got top 8, which is good. There was another Mew deck, a lot of Mew in this tournament specifically. A couple Charizards, a couple Mews kind of makes sense, I guess. We do see another Pidgeysard deck here. This one does have a Radiant Heatran in the deck. That's not something you usually see within Charizard. Radiant Heatran's attack can do a bunch of damage for each damage counter on it. So you combine that with Magma Basin. You can pile damage on it, which is interesting. Heatran over Charizard is definitely an interesting way to go about it, though. So yeah, that's definitely interesting to see Heatran in the deck over Radiant Charizard. There was another Mew deck. This one, it was the Selgor Mew deck. So the idea behind a Selgor is that it is a grass Pokemon that can hit Roaring Moon and Charizard for weakness. 2 matchups that Mew will struggle with. Obviously, Mew's weak to Dark. Mew can't really do much against Charizard if it sets up. That's where the Selgor comes up. So you have the ability to use Judge Path, but then you also have a Selgor in the deck to combat those matchups, which Judge Path can do a lot of work against Charizard already. But when you combine that with a Selgor that can hit for weakness against Charizard, all you have to do is do a couple Power Tablets, and then all of a sudden a Selgor can one-shot a Charizard. So it does make your Charizard matchup a little bit more tolerable playing the Selgor. And we do see a Lost Zone or Roaring Moon deck. Now, see, they do have a couple of new cards. The first one you'll notice is that brand new TM. So in the TM is like if your opponent has 1 prize remaining, or if you have 1 prize remaining, you put this on your Pokemon, and then this attack can do 280 damage. Now, if you put this on Cramorant, when it activates the effect, you can do 280 damage with Cramorant for free. So that is the idea behind playing the tool card with the Cramorant. I guess I'm going to zoom in a little bit more. I guess you can see the deck list a little bit better if I zoom in. But yeah, no. So this tool card does work on Cramorant. You can put on Cramorant at the end of the game, then you have a effective like pseudo Radiant Charizard attack. We've seen the Roaring Moon Radiant Charizard deck do well before, but over in Japan, this tool card does seem to be a perfect inclusion within this deck. Another cool card is actually Canceling Cologne, which lets you counter catcher or boss Cologne Jirachi, and then you can use Sableye around Jirachi, or alternatively, you can counter catcher Cologne with Radiant Greninja. So there's some really cool plays you can make there with the counter catcher Cologne combo. I don't hate that. I don't hate playing Canceling Clone in this deck. And yeah, this deck does play that new tool card, which is a huge boost and buff to the Lost Zone decks. There's another Giratina deck here in this tournament. Giratina just being a pretty straightforward archetype right now. We do see a Miraidon, and Miraidon doesn't really get anything with any of the new cards, but it is just a very straightforward deck right now with the Iron Hands EX. This one's not playing any path. It's opting for Town Store, which is cool. Town Store isn't terrible. It lets you easily find your Bravery Charm. Bravery Charm Iron Hands is a very scary combo, especially on like the first, second turn of the game. Another Arven Zard deck here playing the Pidgeot EX in the deck, and the Rotom V Engine. Something we've been seeing over on our end. Another Tina. This Tina build is playing quite a few different cards. So it's got Ultra Balls, it's got Clara, it's got Drapion, it's got Path, Beach Court, and Temple of Sinnoh. So it's got a bunch of different stadiums in here. There's a Goldengo deck. So Goldengo's another deck right now that feels like it's just kind of like wavering on being kind of good, because it's not a bad deck. I think Goldengo has the tools it needs to be good, right? It can one-shot stuff. It's kind of tanky. 2/6 HP surprisingly can be pretty useful in a lot of matchups, and it has draw. So what's not to love about it? But we just haven't seen a Goldengo break through yet. But in Japan, Goldengo has like some decent results. We see a Miraidon Jolteon deck here. Now this one does play a Hawlucha and a Mawile. So an interesting take on the Jolteon. We've actually seen the Jolteon Iron Valiant deck not really make any waves here over on our side, but now we're seeing a Jolteon Miraidon engine, which makes sense. I mean, Jolteon synergizes really nicely with Miraidon, and again, you get Hawlucha. You can play. The only downside is obviously Jolteon is going to be useless when your opponent benches a Manaphy. This build does not play any. It doesn't play any Canceling Clone or anything to kind of bypass the Manaphy. But no Iron Valiant either, which is interesting. I guess like Hawlucha is maybe better than Iron Valiant, but it's surprising that this deck doesn't play Valiant. Valiant might actually be better than Hawlucha. If you're already playing the Future Booster Capsule, it might make sense to play Valiant in here too. I don't know. And then you have to play more Switch though, I guess, which hurts it. We got a Valiant Entei deck here, so looking like it's similar to what we saw at LEIC. Yeah, pretty similar stuff. Just play 3 Colress and the 1 Iono. And that was that tournament. Moving on to the next tournament here. The winning deck was another Miraidon deck here with the Iron Hands. And then we got the runner-up deck being, yep, another Miraidon Iron Hands deck. This one does play an Elekid and also a Future Booster Capsule and Beach Court Path split, which is pretty interesting to see. We see a Rapid Strike deck here also in top 4. Rapid Strike is a deck right now that I think is very much, not slept on, but I think Rapid Strike is a lot better than people are giving it credit for. I actually think it's a very strong deck, and it also seems to have a really good matchup spread right now in our format. So that's kind of the big takeaway right now with Rapid Strike is its matchup spread, which I think is actually like kind of decent, right? So Rapid Strike I think is better than people are giving it credit for. There was a Shenpao Palkia Iron Hands deck. That's interesting. So it's Shenpao Baxcalibur, but it is playing the 1/1 Palkia, something we haven't really seen in Shenpao in a while. But I guess Palkia does help a little bit. And then there's another Guardy deck here. First Guardy deck to look at. Is not playing the Moonlight Hill Stadium, which I think is, right now, it is available to play in Japan, so it's interesting. This build is not playing the Moonlight Hill Stadium at all. But there's another Guardy here. This one does play the Moonlight Hill Stadium. So this is the big difference here with Japan's results right now is they do have a few key cards. One of the big cards Japan has right now is the new Moonlight Hill Stadium that allows you to discard a Psychic Energy from your hand and then heal 30 damage from each of your Psychic Pokemon. I'm pretty sure that's what it does. But the idea is the Stadium allows you to put more energy onto a Shining Arcana Gardevoir with, out capping out on damage. Because usually you can only put 6 energy on Gardevoir, right? Because it has 140 HP. So you put 6 energy on Gardevoir. With Moonlight Hill Stadium, you can put up to like 8 energy on it, I think, which is insane. So yeah, that's a pretty good upgrade. And it's just a good way. Like healing is just really good, obviously. Being able to heal your Guardies is obviously just really powerful and very useful. So that's definitely interesting. We got another Pidgeysard here playing a Rotom. So it looks like Rotom's also translating pretty well over Japan also. there is a Roaring Moon deck here. So this is Roaring Moon with the Water Energy. Roaring Moon hasn't really had its results recently. We did do a video, obviously, we looked at all the day 2 decks from like Brisbane and Gdansk, and there was actually quite a few Roaring Moon in day 2 of Gdansk. Actually, a lot more than I would have expected. So Roaring Moon might just be one of those like bubbling under type decks right now. Really cool stuff here. We got a Lost Zone Bayonet deck. So it is playing Bayonet EX, which is a pretty cool card. Obviously, item lock can be very good right now, but it also plays the other Bayonet. So this other Bayonet allows you to throw it into the Lost Zone, and then you can get a supporter from discard pile back in your hand. So it basically is like a VS Seeker for Colress. Now this could be a very cool card because not only does it fuel your Lost Zone by 2, but it also allows you to get Colress back. This is good against Iono. You can bench a Shuppet, get Iono, draw Bayonet, and then get Colress back. I actually really like this deck idea. This actually low-key is kind of a good deck idea. I kind of want to try it out. This is actually making me want to try this deck, not going to lie. Like, I actually kind of want to try this Bayonet deck, because it's kind of cool, right? You get that, like, kind of Iono-y proof effect. If you just have a Bayonet in play 2 and you get Iono'd, you effectively have a free Iono, right? That's really cool. That is a really unique deck. I'm gonna quickly put this into live real quick. Like, that's a really cool deck. I definitely want to try that out. That's really cool. Yeah, see, Japan, they play some cool stuff, man. I love it. There's another Guardy with the Moonlight Hill Stadium. Moonlight Hill Stadium could be good with Screamtail too. Actually, no, it doesn't. It doesn't make any sense with Screamtail. It's mostly just good with like Gardevoir EX and Shining Arcana Gardevoir. And Zacian V2 technically would also benefit from that. We got another Lost Zone of Roaring Moon. Once again, playing at that brand new TM card that we do not have yet. I mean, Lost Zone Roaring Moon, I think, is pretty good right now. I mean, it's also doing good in our format. And then, obviously, now that it has this new TM, you do have that big kind of pseudo Charizard effect where you can now play Radiant Greninja without needing to play Charizard. So you have a bit of consistency. And in top 16, there was a Goldango deck here. All the Goldango fans rejoice. Next up, we do have another tourney here. And the winning deck was Lost Zone Giratina, which, no surprise, Tina's just doing Tina things. There's another Entei Iron Valiant deck here in this tournament. In second place, losing to the Lost Zone Giratina, looks like. Got another Sablezard deck playing at that brand new TM. So, again, this new TM is pretty good, man. It's like, it's Charizard in a TM card almost. I mean, it's better than Charizard because you do more damage, but having the Sablezard deck with the TM gives you, like, 2 outs to, like, a Charizard, effectively, which can help against, like, like, Lost City and stuff. We got another Entei Valiant here in top 4. And then we got another Guardy here playing at that Moonlight Hill Stadium, as expected. We got another Roaring Moon deck playing at Galarian Moltres. And a Bibarel engine in the deck, too, which isn't terrible. I mean, Roaring Moon is a really strong deck, but it is a deck that sometimes loses to, like, an Iono because it doesn't have a draw engine in the deck. You're kind of just building up your hand with Pokestops and Sadas and stuff, so having the Bibarel does actually help a lot. I've tried to fit Bibarel in Roaring Moon, too. It's hard to fit in, and sometimes Bibarel just gets, like, discarded really easily by, like, Pokestop and stuff, but it does seem to have a very good place in Roaring Moon. It actually can make it easier to pull off combo pieces, too. There's a Palkia toolbox here. That's cool. Now, it's not playing the Ice Rider VMAX that we saw from Gdansk, but it is playing some other cool stuff in here. We do see it does have a Alolan Vulpix V-Star, which is probably still decent against Charizard right now, and Gardevoir, to be fair. So, actually, maybe not, because they have Screamtail now, but I guess you have Lost City. You can, like, Lost City the Screamtail, and then Vulpix, like, kind of goes from there. Actually, I don't know if that'd be good, because then they can Cresselia you, but Vulpix definitely doesn't seem bad against Charizard, which is a tough matchup for Palkia. And then you got Starmie in the deck. Yeah, really cool deck. Palkia box seems like it's good. I think Palkia is just a very strong card right now. And there's a reason why it's starting to see a bit of an uptick in popularity and play. Another Guardy here in top 8 with the Moonlight Hill Stadium, which is going to be a very strong card. I'm pretty sure we're going to get Moonlight Hill in Paldean Fates, most likely, if I take a guess. We do see a Lugia deck here, Colorless Lugia, which is a deck that's been falling off. Obviously, Lugia hasn't had any good tournament results recently. I don't even know if we've seen a Lugia in day 2 in a while. But yeah, Lugia is still sort of holding on. Kind of. It's obviously just a bit weaker right now, but I don't hate Colorless Lugia. Snorlax is still not a terrible card. I do still like the Vessel Lugia build with like the Iron Hands, but Colorless Lugia isn't terrible. Though this build isn't playing weirder or anything. Another Charizard deck here. Bibarel Zard, yep, it's Bibarel Zard, all right. I was just making sure. It's got the TM Evos. We do see another Miraidon deck without Path of the Peak, but it is playing double Iron Hands with double Turbo. Another Shenpao Iron Hands deck here. A deck that's also been kind of falling off a little bit in our format just because it's just hasn't been able to really keep up, and it's been proven that it's a little inconsistent sometimes to keep up with some of the meta cards, and it's just how it is, but still doing okay in Japan, it looks like. Another Fusion Mew deck here doing good. And then we also see another Lost Zone Roaring Moon deck. So this one is not playing the new TM. It looks kind of similar to the Charizard Roaring Moon deck we saw at LEIC. I think Charizard Roaring Moon is a pretty decent archetype. I think it's strong. I think it has a lot of potential. Roaring Moon is just a great card in Lost Zone right now. And there's a reason why we're seeing a lot of these Lost Zone decks play the Roaring Moon. We got another Turbo Roaring Moon deck here with the Radiant Greninja and the Sadas and all that good stuff. Another Guardy with the Moonlight Hill Stadium. And then we got another, not another, but we got a Zorobox deck. I was not expecting to see Zorobox, but I'm a big fan of Zorobox. So there are some cool cards in here. We do see the Crabominable in the deck over Cleaver, which I'm not sure I agree with. I think Cleaver is always better than Crabominable because if you're playing Scyther, you might as well play Cleaver. And you also have, like, 2 attacks and you have 1 attack that you don't have to use with Reversal Energy. But I guess this deck's not playing double turbo. It does have Raichu that can do, I think it does like 180 damage and does like 52 itself. You got this new Arcanine. I'm not sure what the Arcanine does. I'm not sure it's any better than like the Flareon though, which is I think a better fire Pokemon to play with Reversal Energy. But I'm always happy to see Zorobox do well. This one's also playing Path and Jirachi, which is interesting. The Radiant Jirachis. Definitely something that is quite interesting. Path is also interesting because it does shut off your Scizor. Actually, this deck's only playing a 3/3 Zoroark line too. It's not even playing a 4/4. Wow, I didn't even see that. Another Turbo Roaring Moon here with Catchers. Yo, Catcher Roaring Moon sounds kind of crazy. I mean, hey man, that could be pretty deadly. I mean, that turn 1 donk potential is a lot higher when you have Catchers. It's like when you play like Fusion Mew with Catchers, basically. That's interesting. And that was the was that the last deck? Oh, no, that was... Oh, we already bled into the other tournament. Oh, I didn't even see that. Okay, so the runner-up deck was the Zorobox deck, and then we do see a very cool Rotom V-Star deck here in top 4. Rotom V-Star is a cool card. Yeah, I think it's decent. It's got all the TMs, I guess, which could actually be pretty good upgrades to Rotom. Definitely wouldn't mind trying Rotom again. I mean, it has all these technical machines, right? So maybe it's a little bit better. And yeah, it's a lighting Pokemon. You can play with generators. You have unlimited damage potential. And the only downside is Rotom is, of course, very much weak to just having a low HP barrier. I don't know. I like it. Rotom's definitely something we could revisit. And Cramorant with his TMs actually makes sense. That's actually a really interesting engine because the technical machines can already be played with Rotom, but now you have the new technical machine, that 280 technical machine. You can play Cramorant. Because you're chucking cards in the Lost Zone with Rotom's attack, you can easily power Cramorant up. That's actually really clever, actually. I like that. Another deck here. Yo, we got the Tord Lost Box deck, which looks like it's translating pretty well. I think Tord's Lost Box deck is actually pretty decent. I think it's a legit deck. I don't think it's like a meme or anything. I actually think it does have a lot of legs. Another Pidgeysard here. Another Charizard. This one is a Bibarel TM Evolution Charizard deck. Then we see another Lost Zone Giratina. And then there's another Pidgeysard. All right, Arczard. We haven't seen much Arczard recently, but we do see an Arceus Pidgeot Charizard deck here doing pretty good, which is fine. I mean, Arceus isn't a bad card right now. It's not bad with Charizard. It's just sometimes you don't like having that 2-prize liability in play, but it is decent nonetheless. Another Lost Zone Giratina. We got another Pidgeysard deck with the Pidgeot V in the deck over Rotom or Entei. Another Guardy with the Moonlight Hill Stadium. And let me just make sure, okay. Just make sure I don't, like, bleed in the other tournament like I just did. There is a Charizard Rotom Pidgeot deck once again in this tournament. A lot of Charizard in this tournament specifically. We got another Lost Zone Giratina. Another Guardy. Once again, playing Moonlight Hill. And we got Miraidon. This one is the Peony Miraidon. Actually, yeah, it's the Turbo Miraidon deck from LEIC with the 18 energy and the Peony, which is really cool to see. This is definitely an interesting deck, which I'm not sure how good it is right now. Because I feel like it was like kind of good for just LEIC specifically. But post LEIC, it's not bad. I mean, 18 energy does obviously increase the chance of hitting Double Generator quite often. And when you have like the Peonies and stuff, you're going pretty ham. The only difference is this deck's not playing any research or anything, so its draw is a little limited. It doesn't really have like a draw supporter per se. Now, that's the last deck in here. Going on to the Battleco Station tourney here, we got the winning deck being Fusion Mew. And then the runner-up deck was another Goldengo deck. Look at that good old Goldengo. Yeah, interesting Goldengo stuff. I mean, yeah, Goldengo, like I said, it's got the potential to be good. It's got potential. It just unfortunately hasn't met it yet, which sucks. There's another Colors Lugia deck here in top 4. This is odd. I mean, yeah, Colors Lugia's kind of fallen off over on our end, but in Japan, it looks like people are still playing it, and it's getting, some decent results still, despite having some, bad matchups. I guess it's like bad matchups aren't that bad. I think its worst matchup is obviously just like Charizard EX, right? There is a Another Miraidon Peony deck here with the 18 Lightning Energy, the Turbo Iron Hands deck, whatever you want to call it. Another Lost Zone Giratina. Charizard Iron Hands. This is a combo I've actually thought of before, and I posted it on Twitter a while back, a list. But yeah, the idea is you can use Charizard's ability, put 3 energy on Iron Hands, and you can attach a Lightning Energy, or in this case, a Luminous Energy, to your Iron Hands EX, and you can turn 2 hands to your opponent. And then in the background, you just have Charizard EX kind of looming. That does actually seem kind of decent. Like, I'm not gonna lie, the idea of playing Iron Hands with Charizard actually seems kind of deadly. And I actually like the idea, and it could be, could be explored a little bit further. And maybe that's how you're going to beat the Gardevoir matchup. Because in my opinion, one of Charizard's biggest weaknesses right now is Gardevoir. Because like Gardevoir doesn't seem like a bad matchup, but it is. Once they set up like reversal energy KOs and then they have Zacian, it's pretty tough. Like Charizard does struggle against Gardevoir in my opinion, especially if they KO your Pidgeot and Iono you into a low hand. It's really hard. But when you have Iron Hands, you can just put on all this early game pressure. It doesn't seem bad at all. I definitely like that idea. I really like that idea, actually. Doesn't seem bad whatsoever. We got another Roaring Moon Turbo deck, playing Bibarel in the deck, which, again, I like. It does play quite a few draw. It's got 2 Iono and the Research also. And the Ancient Booster Capsule. We got Pidgeysard here, or Bibarelzard, TM Evozard, whatever you want to call it, with a Delphox V, which is good in Best of 1, which is what Japan plays in. Another big Miraidon Iron Hands deck. Another Guardy with 2 Moonlight Hills, once again. That card is going to be cracked. It's going to make Gardevoir insane for whatever little time it's got left to rotation. Okay, now this is interesting. There's a Turbo Cramorant deck here. Now, this is cool. So, the big benefit of Cram is, again, you can abuse these TMs, and obviously you can abuse that, new TM that just came out. Now, interesting, this list is playing 3 Articunos and only 2 Comfeys. So, this is a very wild list because it's playing Cramorants, 2 Comfeys, is playing a Cleffa of all cards. But yeah, this is a really interesting archetype. I think way back when Lost Origin first came out, I saw some lists of people just playing like Cramorant mainly as your only attacker. This deck plays no energy either. Also, as you can see, 0 energy Cramorant deck. This is a pretty wild deck. I kind of like it though. When you have access to the TMs, you do have like unlimited potential. Like you have Snipe for 100, you have De-Evolve, which makes your Charizard match a bit more winnable, especially with counter catchers. And then you also have the big TM here that lets you do 280 at the end of the game, which kind of gives that deck a little bit of legs. That's kind of interesting, actually. That's a really cool deck. We got a Palkia, Shempao, Iron Hands deck here, kind of a bit of both worlds, just kind of putting them all in. We even have the Kyogre. We see another Tord Lost Box deck here with a couple of additions. It does play Avery and Boss in the deck now, instead of just 4 Colress as the draw engine, which isn't terrible. Lost Tina. Ooh, Shempao Palafin. Okay, that's interesting. So it's a Palkia Palafin Iron Valiant deck. So Palafin's attack does let you do like 210 if it moves from the bench to the active. You can combine that with Tachyon Bits to knock out EX Pokemon, especially because it can do like the 230 damage, which is relevant. That's actually interesting. Yeah, that's a really cool Palafin Palkia deck. I like it. Again, there's a lot of ways to play Palkia right now. It's a surprisingly just really strong card in our format. And that was that. Moving on to the next tourney here. The winning deck was, of course, Fusion Mew. Lost Tina, the runner-up. Another Palkia Iron Valiant deck I like to see. Yeah, Palkia Valiant does seem like it's a good deck. I did a video on it recently. This one is leaning more into the heavier Iron Valiants as opposed to playing other attackers, but it is just Palkia Valiant at the end of the day. And Valiant does have a lot of synergy with Palkia. I think it's a pretty decent combo. More TM Evozard. And then we got another Palkia deck here. This time it's Palkia Shempao. No Iron Valiants or anything. It is playing a Bombirdier, which if you go, I think if you go second or first, you get to like search check for up to 3 basic Pokemon and put them on your bench. Yeah, it's more just like traditional Palkia Shempao deck. Only playing the 1 of Shempao though instead of the 2 of, which is interesting to see. We got another, Miraidon Hands. We got more Guardy Moonlight Hill stuff. We got another Arceus Arc Pidgeot Charizard with Rotom. So a lot of stuff going on in there. Interesting. Ooh, we got Cloth Valiant. All right, this is an interesting deck. I've seen a few of these lists floating online on Twitter. Cloth with Iron Valiant. So it does actually fix your math for some of your damage output. Like, Electrode sometimes does 200 damage. You get a little bit of Tachyon Bits in there, and you're doing even more damage. And you can Yoga Loop, too. Even Cloth sometimes can benefit from the boost of Iron Valiant. Iron Valiant in Cloth doesn't seem like a bad deck. It's also a pretty low maintenance deck, because all you have to do is just bench the Brute Bonnet, bench, play like a Curry or something, and you're already swinging pretty hard with Cloth and Electrode. I kind of like this. It's actually a decent idea, because you know, Iron Valiant can fix your math. And also lets you donk stuff. It's kind of like a best of both worlds. Another Lost Tina, Morgardi. We got another Colorless Lugia here, but it is playing Fire Energy and Water. Not playing Iron Hands, though, with Vessel, but it is playing Water for Luminion. And then it's that one of Fire Energy for the Charizard. And the Clara. Clara makes sense, actually, because you can get back the Charizard and the Fire. More Lost Tina. We got another Roaring Moon Charizard deck here, similar to what we saw at LEIC. Turbo Roaring Moon. Once again, we got an Arc Slacking deck. So Arc piles have fallen off a lot recently. I think Arc piles do struggle to keep up in our meta right now, but we do see this really cool Arc Slacking deck here. Slacking with Path is a pretty strong combo. Slacking is a really hard-hitting attacker. You can use it with Spiritomb. You have, you know, just Judge Path in general can just be really good right now. And Arc is one of the better cards that can abuse Path of the Peak, obviously, which is what gives it some strength. So that's really cool. The next tourney here, the winning deck was another Roaring Moon Charizard deck with that TM that lets you do the more damage, which is kind of spicy. Second place, there was actually a Shampoo Iron Hands deck, so kind of holding on a little bit. An Arc Aggron deck, now that's cool. It's also playing Elekid. Elekid's interesting. You can poke for 30 for free and then sets up Aggron later on. But yeah, Aggron Arceus is a cool deck. I mean, we haven't really seen Aggron in the limelight for a while, but still does exist. It's in the format still. It is technically an Arceus partner. You have Radiant now because they have to manipulate some of the damage. You got Box Disaster. That's interesting. I like it. That's a spicy deck. Got more Miraidon stuff here with Iron Hands, more Guardy, another Lost Tina. We got the Charizard. We got another Cloth. This one's not playing the Valiant, but it's just a more traditional Cloth deck. Now, Cloth does have a new supporter card. Now, the new supporter, I think if you're active as Poison, you can drop to, you have 7 in your hand or something like that. I know this new supporter, as you can see beside Research and Arvin, yeah, if something has to be Poison, you can draw a certain amount of cards. I think it's up to 7 or something, or it's a shuffle draw 7, something like that. But either way, this new supporter does make Cloth a lot better because it does allow you to draw. It gives you like a better draw supporter, and that's another big upgrade that this will get. And that's just another reason why Japan, they just have more cards than we do right now. This supporter might come out in Paldean Fates, potentially. More Pidgeysard right again. We got our first Snorlax stall deck here to look at. Surprisingly enough, Snorlax doesn't do as well in Japan. It is a best-of-1 format, which could be why it doesn't do as well. But I feel like Snorlax is better in best-of-1 in that regards then, right? I don't know. We got another Bibarel Zard. And we got another Turbo Roaring Moon deck here with those Ancient Booster Capsules. More Charizard, the TM Evo Zard. This TM Evo Zard had a Luminion, but no Entei or anything. Okay. Another Bibarel Zard. Got another Cramorant Lost Box deck, again, with that strong new TM. We got more Bibzard stuff. And that was that. And I think that was it for this page, so we can move on. We do have the tourneys here for this week. Obviously, we see December 4th to December 8th. At the time of recording, this is the 7th. This is going up on the 7th. So let's take a look here at some of the decks from these tournaments here real quick. We'll try to skim through them so this video's not too long. We got Iron Valiant Entei, the deck that won the tournament, the runner-up, was a Garchomp deck. Now, that's what I like to see. Now, it's a very interesting Garchomp EX deck. So, I actually did a video on the channel today on Garchomp EX. It was playing Iron Hands and Glamora, though. This build is actually playing Slitherwing. Slitherwing does 2 for 140, and then it takes a bunch of damage. It does play a Quick Shoot Inteleon, too. I'm not sure what the Inteleon's for. I mean, I guess it synergizes nicely with Garchomp's attack that snipes for 120. I guess it helps against Charizard EX, right? Because you can two-shot with Garchomp. That's really cool. Yeah, Slitherwing Garchomp is an interesting concept. You have a nice, strong one-prize attacker. Yeah, I like that idea. I like it a lot. Slitherwing is something that I actually thought about playing with our Garchomp, too. And it's cool to see Garchomp have some success in Japan. We got a Miraidon Iron Hands deck playing a Magnezone V-Star and also playing that new TM card that's coming out. That's really cool. Magnezone V-Star is something we haven't seen in Miraidon in quite some time, but it still does exist. And we got a Goldango deck here. This tournament got a lot of surprises. Garchomp, Magnezone, V-Star, and Goldango. You love to see it. Another Goldango deck. Look at that. 2 Goldango decks back-to-back. We got another... whoa, what the heck? I don't know if you saw that. It was like weird glitch. But we do see another Lost Zone Charizard Sableye deck playing a Minior to help a little bit against like control. And I guess it helps against Snorlax too. Or not Snorlax, Miraidon, because it does play the super effective Glasses. And also, again, playing that strong new TM that makes Cramorant broken. Got Lost Tina. We got another Colorless Lugia deck here. This one does have Weird Ear in the deck this time, though, and Medicham V. Medicham is actually really interesting in Lugia. I actually don't hate that. That doesn't seem like a terrible idea to put in Lugia, for sure. Then we got Charizard. They do have, actually, Charizard does have that new Charmeleon, too, that when you put it in play, it can't be affected by effects of attack. So Charmeleon can't be Sableyed, which is actually really strong. Got Shempao hands here, Shempao Iron hands, and Lost Tina. We got Entei Zard with Cramorant and Elekid as attackers. That's interesting. So it does have a few more one-prize options. Also playing an Irida in the deck, which I guess does let you get Rare Candy and Cram and stuff, and Manaphy, which can be pretty beneficial. We do see another Roaring Moon with Bibarel. Again, Bibarel definitely doesn't seem like a bad idea to try to fit in Roaring Moon if you can find room for the 2/2 Bibs. Then there's a Guardy here. Not playing Moonlight Hill, though. Next tournament here in Tokyo. The winning deck was a very interesting control deck. So this is a Ditto box control. So it is not playing Snorlax, so don't worry, this deck doesn't play any like Snorlax shenanigans, but it does still try to lock you from playing the game. There are cards like Mawile, which prevents you from retreating. I don't actually know what the Squovit does. I'm not sure about that. I don't even know if the Squovit's even out yet. It has Bouffalon, which removes energy, puts in the Lost Zone. Very relevant against decks that rely heavily on, different energy types. Very good against Charizard, actually, because Charizard only has limited energy. A lot of lists play like 8 to 9 energy. The Regieleki gets items back. Yeah, this is an interesting control deck. Ditto controls something we haven't really seen in a while. Snorlax, I think, is maybe just a better deck, but this deck does have a lot of different options because it is a toolbox deck. You have a lot more different attackers. Again, I'm not quite sure what that Squovit does. I'm going to look this up on live real quick. Is this card even out yet? Oh, it is out. All right, the Squovit card in this deck, so what it does is, hold on. It has the attack... Naked Nimble, discard the top card of your opponent's deck. Oh, that's all it does. It's just okay, it mills the top card. I didn't do anything too crazy. Alrighty then. Alright, that's cool. Yeah, seeing Control do well in a different kind of form other than Snorlax is quite interesting. It won the tournament. It beat Roaring Moon here. We see a catcher Roaring Moon deck. We got Shempao hands, and then the top 4 deck was Lost Tina. Whoa. Okay, that's it. I mean, okay, this person decided to play a bunch of energy in the deck. That's pretty funny. This is... My God. It's a deck with a bunch of different artworks of Pokemon. That's actually hilarious. That actually looks kind of sick, too. That's pretty funny. Oh, man. We got an Entei Valiant here in top 8. Shempao without Iron Hands. A more traditional Canadian Shempao deck minus the hands. There's Sableye Cram deck with the TM and the Hawlucha. No Radiant Charizard there. We got another Miraidon. There was another Radiant Zard deck here with, the new tool. And, yeah, this was another Peony Turbo 17 energy Miraidon deck. We see a Serena EX deck. Yo, Serena Vanillux. Now, that is pretty awesome to see. I like to see that Serena Vanillux is a really cool deck. I did a video on it recently. It's actually a lot of fun to play, and it can be very annoying to play against. I mean, a lot of people I've actually seen complain about the deck. I got a lot of hate comments on the video for some reason, because people really do not like playing against this deck, even though I would argue Serena's not as bad as Snorlax. But it is cool to see this deck have some kind of result in Japan. This is a really fun deck. More Roaring Moon Turbo stuff. Roaring Moon Sablezard, and then, more Guardy. Next tournament here, we got Lost Tina winning it, and then in second place, there was a Cloth deck. Cool stuff. Not playing the new supporter card, though, it looks like. Playing Judge instead. That's interesting. Actually, yo, Judge Cloth? Is there something to that, actually? I don't know. It's interesting. We got another Guardy with the Moonlight Hill, and then 2 Guardies back-to-back Moonlight Hill builds. We see another... Sableye Cram Zard with Roaring Moon. There was another Colorless Lugia. So Colorless Lugia just having crazy results in Japan. This one's playing a TM Devo. I do like that. I've thought about playing TM Devo in Lugia before. Because it does maybe help a little bit against Charizard. Because, again, Charizard is a bad matchup for Lugia, but I guess what you can do is, like, hit all your... You can, like, boss up all the Zards and then, like, knock them out with TM Devo, try to win that matchup. So it doesn't seem like a bad idea to play Lugia at all. We got another Pidgey Arczard. A deck we haven't seen in a while. We got another double turbo Mew with Grabbers. More Roaring Moon. Yeah, we're going to skim through some of these decks here. We've seen most of them, like Miraidon, Giratina, Miraidon. Ooh, Chandelure VMAX with Iron Valiant. So Chandelure's attack does 70 damage. Your opponent reveals their hand. The attack does 70 damage for each trainer you find there. So it can take a big 1-hit KO. I'm not sure a matchup the Chandelure is really for, but it doesn't seem terrible. It's a big, bulky fire Pokemon. It's got 320 HP. If it's in the active spot, your opponent can't play any tool cards. There could be some relevance to that, though I'm not sure what tool you're really trying to shut off. But I guess like a big bulky fire Pokemon, I mean, it can do damage. You can increase the damage with like Iron Valiant sometimes. I don't hate that, actually. That's really cool, actually. It's a really cool tech card. I like it. I like the innovation. Tina, Rapid Strike with a Starmie in the deck. And then, of course, we got more Miraidon to round out that tournament. Moving on, we got Guardy winning this tournament with Moonlight Hill because that card's going to be broken. We see an Arc Tina deck with a 2/2 Superior to help against Charizard. I don't hate that. With how popular Charizard is right now, especially we've seen a lot of Charizard. I think Charizard might be the most popular deck we've looked at so far, like the most amount of Charizards. And then makes sense to play the Superior. Also playing full face card in the deck for some bulk is interesting. Lost Tina here. or Sableye Moonzard, Miraidon, Tina, holy Tina. Ooh, there we go. That's cool. We see a Roaring Moon Kyogre deck. So it is the Lost on Roaring Moon deck, but it's not like the Tord build with Hands and Palkia. It's just Roaring Moon with Kyogre. Not a bad combo. I like it. Roaring Moon kind of fills in for kind of like playing Dragonite in this style of deck, though you still don't have Force Seal Stone, I guess, which is the only trade-off. A Lost Zone Charizard deck here having some results is cool to see. Another kind of low-key Charizard deck right now. Not the worst Charizard deck, not the best Charizard deck either, in my opinion. It doesn't have the engines of Pidgeot or Bibarel, but does have Comfey, which does help a lot because you can play Sableye. Yeah, another Charizard. Again, Charizard's really popular. Holy moly. Guardy, more Charizard. Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, more Charizard. Look at that. Makes sense why we saw the Superior. Got Iron Hands. We got Tina. And then we got another Charizard in that tournament. The winning deck in this next tournament here was a very interesting Shenpo deck playing at 1/1 Glaceon V-Star. So Glaceon does have the effect where if it does 180 damage and then it can't be damaged or affected by effects of attack. So buying a free turn could be useful. I'm not sure how good Glaceon V-Star really is, but it was in the deck that won this tournament. The runner-up was Miraidon. Yo, Palkia Roaring Moon. I've actually built this. I, no joke, have built Palkia Roaring Moon. I actually think this is actually something that I am definitely going to try out very soon. That is really cool. I have this built. I've tried it. It's a cool deck. It's a very aggressive Roaring Moon deck because you have Palkia in the deck too. So I like this deck a lot. Really cool stuff. I've built it. I think it's really cool. I think it's got potential. It is, without doubt, in my opinion, the most aggressive way to play Roaring Moon right now. We see another Lost Zone Iron Hands deck with Dragonite V as the attacker. Yo, there's a Cofagrigus deck. Now that's cool. Cofagrigus Xatu with Iron Valiant and a Snorlax. That's spicy. So Cofagrigus is like kind of diet Dragapult VMAX. It is cool to see this Cofagrigus deck, though, do pretty well in Japan. Spicy stuff. It did get got top 8. There you go. Might have lost to Roaring Moon, though, in top 8. More Guardy stuff. More Miraidon. Yeah, we'll try to skim through this real quick so this video's not too long. There's a Lost Tina Roaring Moon deck, so kind of combining the best of both worlds. I don't hate the idea of a Lost Tina Roaring Moon deck. I don't know how synergistic it really is, but it doesn't seem terrible at all, in my opinion. It doesn't seem too bad. Miraidon, yeah, Charizard, yeah, just a lot of stuff. We see another Garchomp. Garchomp with Iron Hands. See, I'm not alone on this one. Garchomp with Lucario, Iron Hands, and the new Great Tusk. Now, we don't have this new Great Tusk yet. Now, Great Tusk does have a pretty bad ability. If it's in the active, you have to discard the top 5 cards of your deck. But this Garchomp deck does play a path. It does play path, right? So you can path, shut off Great Tusk's ability, so you don't have to mill the top cards of your deck. So it kind of is a little bit of a trade-off there. And it's a nice, big, bulky fighting attacker you can play in Garchomp now. I like this. I mean, Iron Hands Garchomp is spicy. I mean, I just literally did a video on it on the main channel today. I don't think I used Iron Hands, unfortunately. Maybe my list was just not as good. More Tina, more Guardy, and then at the end here, we got another Anti-Valiant. Next tournament here to look at, the Dragon Star tournament. The winning deck was Miraidon. The runner-up deck was Iron Hands, Roaring Moon, Lost Zone Charizard, and even playing the TM. Crazy enough, though, this list is not playing a single copy of Sableye. Now, that's interesting. I guess at that point, it's just like, hey, Jirachi exists, cut the losses. Guardy. There was another Mew Aselgor. Makes sense because, again, with a lot of Charizard, I mean, with how much Charizard we are seeing, too, right? It kind of makes sense to see a Mew Aselgor deck do this well. Ooh, we got a Serena deck in top 8. Another Serena Vanillux deck. That's awesome to see. I love to see it. This deck's cool. Deck's fun to play. I like seeing it have good results. Another Turbo Roaring Moon. 2 Roaring Moons back-to-back. Another Charizard. Anti-Valiant. Whoa, this is spicy. We got an Armor Rouge Luminous Energy Toolbox deck. Now, that's awesome to see. I like it. I mean, you have the Energy Acceleration with even the Shiyu EX in the deck here, you can see. And then also the Luminous Energy attacking options. You got Vulpix, you got Shaman, you got Zamazenta, Iron Hands, Drapion. That's interesting. I mean, this is like an absolute pile, but it is an interesting pile. I kind of want to try this out. I've been actually meaning to try like a Armor Rouge Luminous Energy box for a while now. I just never got to doing it, but maybe it's about time to try it now that we have like an interesting list here that did get top 16 in a tournament. A Goldengo deck playing 2 Luxray, actually. Now, that's interesting. I just have Nimona, too, and the Nimona only draws 3 cards, but you do have this new card coming out in Paldean Fates that lets you get 2 Nimona out of your discard pile back in your hand. So you're just constantly drawing 3 cards with that, which is interesting. Miraidon with, Turbo Patch Miraidon. Super Turbo Miraidon. It's even got, it's got Peony, too. 18 energy. Look at that. Boom. Another Super Turbo Miraidon deck. Charizard Gallade. Now, this is a deck we haven't seen in a while. The Charizard Curlia Gallade engine. Not playing Reversal Energy is a little interesting, but I don't hate it. Now that we have Jirachi and Manaphy, you don't lose to Sableye easily. And I guess Guardy's not bad either if you set up multiple Curlias. Next up here, we do have the card box store. It looks like we got the winning deck being the Lost Zone Roy Moon Charizard deck, the runner-up deck being a Pidgeysar deck, another Pidgeysar or Bibarel's in top 4, and then Mew getting top 4. Probably would have struggled against all 3 of these dark decks in top 4. Snorlax stalls, so that's the second one we've seen so far. Got a Lost Tina, got another Pidgeysar, Mew, Miraidon. Yeah, we'll skim through these real quick. Ooh, spicy. We got a Roaring Moon Toolbox deck here playing Iron Hands and playing in the new Great Tusk. Now, the Great Tusk is interesting because there is no path in this build, so the Great Tusk would probably screw you over. The idea is you want to put energy on Roaring Moon, and then you Thornton into the attacker like the Iron Hands or the Great Tusk. That is, well, I guess you can actually use Great Tusk with, you can use Great Tusk with Sada, because it is an ancient Pokemon. I forgot about that. But you can Iron Hands Thornton your Roaring Moon, which is actually really interesting to see. So that's a cool concept. New Esthrafa. Definitely gonna do a video where we probably look at like early deck lists from Paldean Fates. Maybe when we get like, I don't think there's any more new cards can reveal, but if there is, we can maybe look at some of them. But we do see Esthrafa here. Definitely an interesting new card. It's got an ability where if your opponent's attacks cost 1 colorless more when it's in the active spot, combine that with Crushing Hammer and League Headquarters, it can be very tough for a lot of decks to attack it. Another Snorlax, and then, ooh, another Serena. That's very cool to see. Another Serena here in, what was that, top 16 of the tournament? That was like double Serena. That's cool to see. Next up here, I think this might be the last tournament to look at. Winning deck was Tina. Runner-up deck was Tina. Top 4 was Tina. Oh my god, and then Charizard. What the heck, bro? 3 Giratinas? We got a Darkrai Roaring Moon. Darkrai V-Star. It's a nice card to play. You can use the V-Star power to get your items back, which is really good. Another last Tina. Tina just dominated this tournament. Jeez. Guardy again, playing that Moonlight Hill. We got more Roaring Moon. Got another Guardy. More Charizard. Torterra. Ah, you love to see it, man. Torterra holding on. Torterra TM Evo, I like a lot. Could be worth maybe doing a video on. I definitely want to give Torterra TM Evo a try. Maybe it makes Torterra a little bit better. It gets you set up a lot quicker, which Torterra is a bit of a slow deck, obviously, right? We got a Samurott Iron Valiant deck. Another deck I definitely want to try out. I got it built on live. I definitely want to give it a try. Samurott Valiant doesn't seem like a bad idea, to be honest. It doesn't seem bad at all. We got Guardy, Porygon Z Lugia Charizard. So I actually am working on doing a Porygon Z video. I think it's actually really good with Charizard because its ability allows you to put 4 energy on it from the discard pile. If you have the Pogozard in play, you're doing 320 damage. This is a crazy wild deck. I mean, it got top 16 in this tournament, apparently. Then we got Entei Valiant. And this is the last tournament. The winning deck was Gardevoir with Moonlight Hill. The runner-up was a Urshifu Valiant deck. This is a deck we haven't really seen in a while after we saw that Entei Valiant is the better way to play Valiant. But Urshifu Valiant's still not terrible. It does play in Radiant Charizard, so you do have that like big late game attacker. I actually like this idea a lot with the Charizard. Is it better than Rapid Strike, though, is the main question, right? That's kind of the big question. Couple Zards, Lost Tina, Shempao Iron Hands, Arc Charizard with Galley Curlia. That's not bad, actually. Again, the idea of playing like Curlia Charizard doesn't seem terrible right now, to be honest. I don't know if I'm alone on that, but who knows. We got another Sablezard deck here. Not playing the TM, but it's playing Minior. There we go. We see a Lugia deck with Iron Hands. There it is. Yeah, Lugia Hands doesn't seem bad, right? It is playing a Cobalion. I'm not sure where the Cobalion is going to help. I mean, obviously it's going to help against Roaring Moon and stuff, but you don't really have... You already kind of have your outs to Roaring Moon. I guess you can use it with Mew EX to copy Roaring Moon's attack to knock it out, I guess, because you're not really using Cobalion with anything else against, like, Charizard EX. I guess you can use Iron Hands to take 3 prizes against Charizard if you hit them with Lugia V-Star's first attack. I guess that's the idea. Yeah, Tina... We got Guardy, we got Charizard, and then we got Charizard. And then finally we got Guardy. And it looks like there might be another tournament this Friday, but obviously it's not Friday yet. But there you go, folks. That is it for the video here, looking at all of the decks doing well in Japan this past week. Definitely some really cool decks. We saw some interesting decks, like we saw some cool Cloth decks, some interesting Iron Valiant decks. We saw some Serena decks, a new Ditto Control deck, which was kind of cool to see. We saw a Rotom V-Star deck. There was a lot of really cool stuff, but the main takeaway is Japan does have some new cards that do upgrade some of the decks. Obviously, the main ones we have are the Moonlight Hill Stadium for Gardevoir, and then the Technical Machine, which was not in there. The new Technical Machine for Lost Box, right? That's another big upgrade. So we're kind of seeing the small little upgrades here and there in some of these established archetypes, but again, stuff like Gardevoir is going to get a lot stronger when Moonlight Hill comes out, and then obviously the new Technical Machine is also going to be very strong. And Giratina and Charizard dominating over in Japan right now. Looks like those are the main takeaways. Giratina and Charizard are the 2 BDIFs right now. But yeah, there you go. Hope you enjoyed the video. I will leave a link down below once again to Pokebook if you want to go look at these decks yourself. Definitely want to build that Bayonet deck that I saw. But yeah, there's some really cool stuff that we saw here. And Japan, once again, always cooking, always coming up with cool ideas. And again, Japan does have some new cards that do upgrade some of these older archetypes. And we are going to see some of these results potentially translate when we do get Paldean Fates in January. But that'll be for me. If you enjoyed the video, again, leave a like, new to the channel, subscribe down below. We're on the road to 10,000 subs. I'll leave a link to a Pokemon book down below. See y'all later. Have a good rest of your day, and bye-bye.